Say hi.
How's it going?
It's going. You know, just another day in chaos.
Ronda, congratulations on the two ESPYs. Number one, how satisfying was it for you to win Best Fighter and beat a field that included Floyd Mayweather Jr.?
Well, it's always satisfying to make some kind of history, and I don't think a woman's ever won Best Fighter before, and so it's always nice to break the ground a little bit in new spots so we can build more. And yeah, after the ESPYs last year and what he said, I was biding my time for the right time to respond. And so what actually happened was somebody asked him like, "Oh, how do you think you do in a fight with Ronda Rousey?" And he goes, "Ronda Rousey? I don't know who he is." And someone explained who I am. He was like, "I know who that is." And I know for damn sure that he knew who I was because he was running against me for Best Fighter that year, and he has signed MMA fighters, and so his feigned ignorance was meant to be really kind of a snarky remark to me. And so all of the media really trying to create like a rivalry out of it, and I was sitting on the couch, you know, post-surgery. I got surgery the day before on my knee and my thumb, and I don't let those kind of things slide, but I'm a patient girl. And I wanted to respond at the most appropriate time where I thought that I could make the biggest impression that I'm not the kind of chick that you make snarky remarks about. And so I waited a whole year to say something. And you know what? If I didn't win Best Fighter this year, I would have waited 2 years, or I would have waited 3 years. I would have waited for the exact time so that I could have said that. And yeah, so.
Everyone seems to have picked it up, even non-boxing or sports outlets, Newsweek, Rolling Stone. Did you think that Mayweather comment would get such a reaction today?
Yeah, I thought I'd get a big reaction. And I got a fight to sell, so great timing, huh? I'm not dumb.
So you show a page out of his book?
Well, you know, I don't think it's his book, but I mean, he might have added a couple chapters, kind of like Frodo put on to Bilbo, but I don't think he started the book.
Has there been any reaction from his camp?
No, I mean, I don't really know what he could say, but I'd be interested, but not surprised if I didn't hear anything at all as well.
Ronda, was that like a kind of dig at his domestic violence past, what you said last night, or was it not about that?
Oh my God.
It is,
I mean, it's pretty obvious, to be honest. So, you know, yeah.
I'd still get clarification, you know.
Does that also show that, I mean, you just said it right now, you don't really forget things easily? I mean, say, like with Misha, where if she said something, you know, you didn't really let it slide even if time passed. We're going into a fight where your opponent had said something that was pretty insensitive. Right? Do you carry that with you? Like you're patient, you're going to wait till the fight comes up, or you're not going to forget it?
Yeah, I mean, I said before that revenge is a dish best served cold. And I try my best not to be impulsive with those kind of things, because I think a methodical enemy is the worst kind to have. And if people are trying to say things to get a white-hot reaction out of me, I try to do the opposite and react at the time that benefits me the most.
Do you think you're going to have fans in Brazil?
I hope so. I love Brazil, but you know what? Even if not, I mean, I'm not going to be offended by it or anything. You know, they have every right to cheer for their girl from their country. But you know, it would be really cool to like have a full-on Rocky IV moment and like turn the crowd. But you know, it would be cool. But I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they booed me out of the stadium again. They've done it before, and I appreciated them for it because they care. All I want them to do is care.
Has she made this fight a little bit more personal for you?
Yeah, this is definitely the most personal fight that I've ever had. Making such tasteless remarks about suicide when she knows how it has affected me in my past, and then her entirely disingenuous apology afterward, which wasn't even an apology. She just complimented herself by calling herself humble and asked for forgiveness. Asking for forgiveness isn't an apology. I think that her actually pretending that she didn't know to save face was just as insulting as what she said in the first place. And there were so many other events in my life that she cited that were actually from my book right after it came out. They were much less known than the history of my father and my family. And so you're insulting my intelligence if you expect me to believe that you would know those kinds of things about me and not know about the most formative event of my life.
Do you worry that you can get caught up in the emotions of this fight, being that it might be the most emotional fight for you?
No, because fighting is my escape from all of that. That's why I love it. When I'm fighting, there's no past and there's no future. There's just the present, what's going on right now. There's no emotions. There's just the situation and the decisions and the priorities of what should be done. And fighting has always been my escape from emotion.
Why do you think she deserves a title shot? Does she have to be anybody in the top 5?
I think she deserves a title shot. She's undefeated and she has a lot of heat behind her. And a lot of people are interested in seeing it. And people love the storylines and theatricality as well. And the way that she's conducted herself, it has fast-tracked her to a title shot, which, I mean, I have tried to fast-track myself to title shots before, so I can't really fault that. But the manner of which she did it, I don't mind taking things on myself because this is my job and I chose it. When it starts to affect and insult my family, that's when I know an example must be made. I need all the other girls coming up to look at what happened to her and decide that it's an example not worth following.
So this
That was
is
a turning
drug
point.
testing?
Whoa.
That was a turning point for you to not like her? Like the fight became more personal after the comments after the suicide, or did you don't like her before?
I didn't like her before because of the way that she disrespected Jessamine and Shayna after she beat them. But, I mean, that was still understandable from a marketing point of view, you know? I mean, because those girls chose that career, and they chose to put themselves in that situation, and they opened themselves up to that, which I would be more understanding of that. I wasn't going to let it go unchecked because, you know, I'm mama bear, and I just can't let anyone poke at my cubs, you know? But when it got to the point where she was laughing at the subject of suicide and how it really profoundly affected my whole family, that's when it really went too far. She already got the fight. There was already enough heat behind the fight. It was entirely unnecessary. And to bring my family into it, they don't deserve that. They didn't ask for that. And I need to make sure that nobody else tries that ever again.
You get more satisfaction beating her than you did beating your other rival, Misha Tate.
I mean, every single fight I get more satisfaction out of it than the one before because there was more on the line than ever before. So I hope I'm not sweating through this shirt. But no, the win I got the most satisfaction out of so far was Kat Zingano because I felt like she was the toughest competitor and it was my biggest challenge and there was most on the line and I was able to prevail. And now there's even more on the line. And it's extremely personal and this chick is not a vegetable. She's a real undefeated opponent. And I will definitely get more satisfaction out of this win than any other before.
Speaking of personal, can you comment on Cris Cyborg showing up at your sponsor's booth in Vegas during the UFC Expo? What was your reaction when you heard that?
I didn't even know that.
She showed up at your booth and had a message that said, "Ronda, I'm coming for you."
Really, I don't see her coming for me. The invitation's been open for a while.
Ronda, you've been such a trailblazer for women in MMA and UFC. How do you feel about everything you've accomplished and what's the next step?
The next step is to beat Bethe Correia on August 1st, and I can't really allow myself to revel in any of it until after I beat her. I mean, even last night, I just wanted to show up and do a good job and go home, and so I could eat at my appropriate time and be rested to train well today, because everything that matters right now is the fight. And after I beat Bethe, then it'll all come rushing in, and I'm sure it'll be one of the happiest moments of my life.
And do you think it's important to raise attention to the role that women in sport play? I mean, there's been a lot of talk lately with the World Cup about how amazing and powerful women athletes are. Do you think there needs to be more attention to that?
Of course, I think that until women get an equal amount of attention in sport, there always needs to be more. So I'm really encouraged by the changes that I've seen this last year. I mean, it really seemed like the year of the woman, and I hope it's not an isolated event.
Ronda, do you feel that you're at a disadvantage because you're going to be fighting your opponent in her home country, Brazil?
Well, you could say it's a disadvantage, but I like to think that I'm good enough where every disadvantage that I have and every advantage that they have is still not enough for them to ever beat me. And, you know, I grew up as a kid. Every tournament, every World Cup, every important tournament in my entire life happened when I didn't have the home crowd advantage. And it's just something that I'm accustomed to. I'm accustomed to showing up in a country halfway across the world the day before the fight, having to wait in the morning and then fight an hour later. I mean, this is extreme luxury. And Rio is actually one of my lucky places to fight. I always fought above myself there. And it's the noise of the crowd and the pressure that really makes me better. And you know, I won the Pan American Games there with Brazil in the final. Myra, who has actually become an amazing judoka ever since. I'm so proud to say that I even fought her when she was just coming up. And everybody from Brazil loves her, and they all hated me. Oh my God, they hated me. And then I won, and I got booed out of there. Everyone was chanting, "You're gonna die," you know. And I love it. I love that they care that much. You know how many stadiums I went in and fought, and there was like barely any people there, or everyone was just quiet, and it was just like, it suffocates you as a fighter to be in that kind of environment. You know, when everyone's shouting, all that air coming out of them helps me breathe.
What do you think this fight is going to be like for your mom? Because in the past you've talked about how you don't want her to worry and make them sure, but you've said this one obviously is going to be different. So what is this one going to be like for her?
Well, it's going to be a little bit more nerve-wracking for Mom, but I'm going to be so dominant in every single second of it. Even though it's going to be longer, she's not going to be, she's not going to have to see her baby get hit. And that's how I like to keep it.
What drives you? What drives you? Is the anger towards your opponent necessary, or are there other motivations involved?
Well, what drove me was to keep from getting evicted, and then what drove me was to prove all the naysayers wrong, and now what drives me is to leave a legacy. Every single individual opponent has all my attention when I'm there, but I'm starting to think about the legacy itself, the career as a whole. I want to be the one dominant athlete that retires undefeated and when they're on top. And yeah, there's a lot of work to do before I feel like that's completed.
Why did you take the fight in Brazil?
Why? Because the fight had already become personal to me, and I wanted to beat her in the most devastating way possible, and that would be in front of her own people. And I actually, before all this came up, I went down to Brazil for like a media tour, and everyone there was so awesome and amazing. And they kept asking me, "When are you going to fight down here, Ronda? When are you going to fight down here?" And I promised them, I was like, "I'm going to find a way to fight down here, I promise." And I'm a woman of my word. So I saw an opportunity to be able to fight down there, and I wanted to give them exactly what they wanted and exactly what I promised. So that's where I'm going.
Wanda, did she feel disrespected when she came to your fight against Kat and sat in the front row, kind of like, "I'm scouting you out, I'm coming for you," just without saying it in her Brazilian language?
No, I feel like it's a big compliment if she goes so far out of her way to watch me. And it's good that she makes herself visible because it helps sell the fight. And so if she didn't show up, I'd be like, "Damn, this chick is lazy. Man, my back hurts from carrying this fight." So I'm glad she's putting some effort out there.
And you speak about your legacy is being you don't talk about it much, is being like a eventual UFC Hall of Famer on your short list of things that you want to accomplish in the future.
My short list? I got a pretty long list. Yeah, I'd like to be a Hall of Famer. That'd be cool.
You posted something on Instagram about not copying anyone's style. Was that a message for Bethe?
No. It meant that I was posting some shadow boxing, I think that's what it was. And I know I have a very unconventional way of striking. And a lot of people say that things that I do are wrong when they're really targeted to help me do things that I'm good at. And so I kind of steal ideas from here and there and try to piece it together into something that works for me. Like when I was doing judo as a kid, I used to always say that I'm never going to be able to do your judo better than you can, and you'll never be able to do my judo better than me. You know, you can teach me your Uchimata, but I'll never be able to do your Uchimata as good. I have to take whatever works with yours for me, and whatever works for theirs, and whatever works for theirs, and create my own uchimata. And it doesn't make one wrong and one right. It just makes them all custom.
Speaking of judo, have you reconsidered now that the Rio Olympics are less than a year away of maybe going back for gold?
No, I'm gonna go watch though. that part of that chapter of my life is closed, and I've walked away from it confidently, knowing that I've done everything I was meant to do, and hopefully one day in fighting I'll be able to walk away with the same kind of confidence and fulfillment from what I've accomplished.
Ron, I want to talk about the division, because there's talk that the strawweights have a more competitive division, and that basically in the bantamweights people are fighting for second place. So do you fear that you may run out of opponents and run out of challenges before the other women are up to the level to truly challenge you?
Well, I guess the day that I really feel like I've run out is the day that I'll be done. And right now they're lining up around the block, but when the day comes where I feel like I've done all I could do, and the women's strawweight division being so successful and competitive is one of the most encouraging things that's happened. And that division has nothing to do with me, and it's thriving. And once I feel like women's MMA is really self-sustaining and something that I could see lasting for decades without me, then I'll be able to step away. And so, yeah, everyone that says, yo, you're running out of opponents, better hope I don't run out, because then I'll be done.
Well, the thing is, too, is that it feels like some of the strawweights have started training earlier. Other than Sarah McMahon, a lot of the women in the division, no disrespect, but literally said, I took my kid to a kickboxing class one day, and then I learned that I loved fighting. Yeah. And it's hard to catch up to the experience level that you have. So that's really the concern, is whether or not we'll get the pure athletes that were born and bred that way like you are in the division.
I mean, I lucked out in that I was prepared perfectly for something that didn't even exist yet. I'm totally, agree with that. And yeah, I do think that I'm so far ahead that they can't keep up. But, I love what I do, and I'll continue doing it. And every single girl that comes in there has a chance. I mean, there are so many cautionary tales of fighters that seemed indestructible at one time and then one day weren't. And I'm doing everything that I can to not be one of those tales.
Rhonda, we know that your mom was a big influence in your life and your sports career. She was your date last night at the ESPYs. Mm-hmm. You thanked her on stage. What was it like, or how did it feel like for you to take her to an event and for her to see everything you've done and how far you've come?
Well, it's nice to try and give my mom a fraction of the credit that she deserves. And I think I'm still nowhere close to giving her all the credit that she deserves, but at least bringing her last night and letting her see a piece of what we created together could do that a little bit. But I know that she deserves so much more than what I've given her already, and I'm just trying to do the most that I can.
So Rhonda, with your rise to superstardom being so meteoric, books, movies, winning everything, is there a chance that the Ronda Rousey brand could be bigger than the game itself, or is that kind of a goal?
I mean, I could try. Why should I stop at a limit? Why should I set limits for myself? And I take a lot of Armenian sayings, and then one of them is be jealous but be kind. I'm very jealous of the success that the UFC has had, but in a kind way, in that I want so much more for them, but I want just as much and more for me. And so for me to aspire to surpass that, we would both help each other, and so that's a great thing for both of us.
Bethe has made so many remarks. Aside from the suicide comments, she's also mentioned that she feels that you might not be mentally ready or stable because you have spent most of your time this year focusing on 2 movies that came out this summer, your book tour. Is there any truth to that, or does it make you stronger to be able to multitask?
It keeps you from getting burnt out multitasking, and I think it's awesome for me that she's keeping her fingers crossed that I'm at a fraction of my potential, whereas I'm preparing for her to be better than she's ever been before. And so she can hope that I'm worse off, but I want to show her that I'm not.
You've mentioned that you want to punish her. If you see an early finish, do you think you'll avoid taking it just to prolong the fight?
That's hard to say because I'm so instinctual.
Right.
But
because what if you see a 6-second finish? And I mean, what do you do? Because is that enough of a punishment?
well, there's different kinds of finishes, you know. I could go for a submission finish, or I could go for a striking finish, and striking finishes take a little longer, but they could start at the same time.
12 seconds.
You never know. So I might, you know, some things take longer. Like a choke takes longer than an armbar, or a TKO takes longer than a choke, and so I might go for the prolonged finish instead, but they still begin at the same point.
You've been doing a lot of acting. What's your plan to integrate acting into fighting? How much more acting do you plan to do?
Well, I don't want to make the mistake that I did after my last Olympics and walk away with no options. I want to be the first athlete ever to simultaneously have a successful athletic and acting career, and by the time that I'm ready to walk away from fighting, I want to be able to be at a point where I can act full time. And you know, I'm trying my best to get good at it, because I'm a white belt in acting, right? I have to work my way up, and hopefully I will be a little bit more progressed by the time I'm ready to do that full time, because I know that when I don't have goals or something to strive for, it's something that it was very, very bad for me when it happened, and I'm not going to make the same mistake twice.
Connor had a lot of great words to say about you after his fight the other night. Do you see him as a kindred spirit? Because he really is a fan of yours.
Yeah, Connor, it's been a real joy watching him progress and mature, as not just as a fighter, but as a man. And I've seen him grow a lot, and I've been happy to I've been very encouraged by what I've seen, you know, and yeah, I couldn't be happier for him and the company for winning, and I really appreciate the respect that he's shown me, and it's definitely mutual.
One thing that a lot of people are not quite aware of about your background, even though you've stated it, it's in your book and all that stuff, is your Latino background. Your mom being of Venezuelan descent. Since you become such a big role model for women, and I think you're a role model for everybody, to be honest with you, any man can be inspired by your story, but do you think that at a certain point you might want to explore that Latino heritage to also, you have an all-American look,
yeah.
And I think it'd be kind of cool.
My mom was just talking last night about going and doing like an immersion thing next summer, because I had so much trouble speaking in general, you know, like my sisters learned Spanish, but I didn't, and my mom speaks fluently, but I don't, and yeah, I would love to do something like that. I wish I was bilingual. Damn, it seems so cool, and I just run out of words so much. You know, it's just like English doesn't have enough words. Like it just seems so business-like sometimes, you know. And Spanish is so much more of a passionate language. I didn't want to learn Armenian too, you know. And all these guys they're always like talking Armenian around me. I'm like, listen, one day I'm gonna learn, and I'm not gonna tell any of you guys, and I'll be listening to you all this time, and I'll be knowing everything that you're saying. But yeah, I really wish I had more ways to express myself, and so. We'll see. I'm going to see if we have time next summer. My mom wanted to like go to Costa Rica and spend the whole summer there, and she will just refuse to speak to me in English the whole time. So hopefully I can learn and really when I go to my family reunion, be able to talk to people, because I think we're going to have it like a Trinidad or Antigua or something like that, because that's where most of the family is. And I'm like the gringo of the family. I show up and they're like, "How did you happen?" I don't know.
Ronda, last night, your acceptance speech of Best Female Athlete of the Year, you mentioned being the change that we wanted to see. I get it as a woman in sports, but can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a Gandhi quote. And it said, "Be the change that you want to see in the world." And so if you want to see things a certain way, don't expect other people to make those changes for you. You go and do it yourself. And so.
Wow, did you see the
My hair here?
Yeah, it came out of the little twisty part right there. You'll be down a little. You're going to be mad if you see it later. You'll be like, why didn't anybody tell me? There, right there.
Pull it?
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Wow, did you see the entrances at 189?
What?
Did you see the cool entrances at 189?
Did I see the cool entrances? Oh, with the live performances?
Who'll be your person?
I made it worse? Help me! Who wears hair? Pit crew. You're my new favorite. So you got something to worry about this?
Who would you get to sing you to the ring if you get the opportunity in a mega fight or something like
Well,
that?
Joan Jett.
Right?
I was just going to sing it live.
I mean, but I don't know. I have such like, you know, it's such like a Freudian thing to hear the recording, that when they came out, I'm like, that's cool for everybody else, but I mean, I hope that's not distracting for them, you know, because you always come out with like the same thing.
Oh, because you can't stop your walk then.
Yeah, but my song is so short that they like play it like again. Like I get through it like in the middle of it a second time. That's why I'm walking so fast. No, I'm kidding. That's not why I walk so fast. But it helps that I walk that fast, or else they would have to play it twice. But no, it was really cool, and you know, I just don't know. I like it, you know. I don't know. I feel like it would be distracting in a way. Connor has that ability to like look at the crowd and look at Sinead O'Connor and go do that thing, you know. And he's like, he's got a flag, and like I'm just like, I got stuff to do, and I don't want to think about anything, and that's my stuff. And everyone has their own method. That's mine.
So when you hear that song, like even in the car, does it get you pumped?
I don't put it on in the car very often. I usually put it on like when I'm on the way to like the fight, like if I'm like pulling into Vegas, like put the song on, because I don't want it to like get, I don't want to like dilute it in my mind. I want it to always trigger that one thing, you know, like
what's it trigger?
Like you know, like Pavlov's like dogs, like the bell, you know. You ring the bell and they start drooling. You play the song and I'm like, where is she? You know? It's kind of like that.
You can't predict the future, but do you feel that a fight with Cris Cyborg will happen?
I hope so. I hope so. I really do. But it's entirely up to her. I'm not going to go chasing her around, and she's not entitled to have me chase her around. You know, she is the fraud that got defamed. And you know what? If you can make 145 pump full of steroids, you can get off of it and drop.
And if you retired undefeated, you said, you know, you defend your title X amount of times and never fight her. Would there be a part of you that would be a little disappointed that, you know, you never had that chance?
I mean, I hope I do. I mean, I have this idea in my mind that my final fight would be just beating the crap out of Cris Cyborg, and then when Dana puts his belt on me last time, I could take it off and hand it back to him. But, you know, if she doesn't step up, I can move on and do other things in my life. She's the one that's going to fall into obscurity without me.
Have you watched her fights?
Nope.
Have you been approached by more sponsors since your big win at the ESPYs?
I don't know. I don't deal with that stuff. I don't deal with any kind of outside anything. I'm just in my bubble.
How was yesterday with Mike Tyson?
It was really, really cool having him here, for him to actually go out of his way to come and watch me train. It was very humbling.
Ronda, you beat some really, you know, you beat out a lot of good fighters, great fighters for the Fighter of the Year. And not only Floyd, but Crawford, you know, Dom Cerrone. What did it mean to go ahead and, you know?
And what?
What did it mean to you personally to go ahead and get that award?
Well, it meant a lot in that the actions of a woman will be noticed, and yeah, it was a real honor to win it amongst that kind of company. You know, I mean, all those guys are amazing fighters. I mean, I still believe that Floyd Mayweather is one of the best boxers of all time. I also believe that Edwin Valero is one of my favorite boxers ever. Everybody else killed his wife and kid, you know. But hey, he's a great boxer. I mean, that part, he was awesome, and you can't deny that. And yeah, it was really, I don't know, like, that's why when I go up there, the thing in my mind that comes is I'm going to try my best to deserve it, and I want to live up to that title, and I'm trying to. And the next step is to beat Bethe.
What did your friend Gennady have to say to you about that?
I didn't see him afterward. I saw him before. He was so cute in his yellow suit. Oh my God, he's such a gentleman too. He's such a sweetheart. And like, my mom was there. I got to introduce him to my mom, and like he holds himself like so well. Like I couldn't say better things about him. How he conducts himself in the ring and how he conducts himself as a man. I mean, I don't think he could do it better.
At the ESPYs last night, whose acceptance speech impacted you the most?
Whose acceptance speech impacted me the most?
Caitlyn Jenner, Devin Stowe, any of those?
I think the parents of the young girl who
Lauren Hill.
Was it?
Lauren Hill.
Lauren Hill. Oh my God, Lauren Hill. Her parents. That one was hard not to cry, and Monet was really, really sweet too. It was really sweet. So.
What do you think of the difference in the media day? Like, look at the media day right now. Like, maybe 3 years ago when you were still in Strikeforce, you might have just been Karen as like one of the few.
Right?
And I was there.
Now,
yeah.
Look at this whole first
we
row,
weren't
you know?
sweating as much. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Hey.
And now you got this whole
Someone's
first row,
competing for my favorite. Whew. I feel like I'm about to hear a sermon right now. Like, oh my God, there's so many people in this room, right?
Ronda, what meant more to you last night? Fighter of the Year, as you discussed, which is across gender lines amongst your peers, or Female Athlete of the Year, which is women in all sports across the board?
I think Fighter of the Year. I won female athlete last year, and I think it's great for people to see women on top of categories that isn't just the all women's category, and I think it's great for people to get used to that kind of a thing. And so yeah, it was a little piece of history because a woman had never won it before, and I feel like that was really important.
Ronda, if you were in Jose Aldo's position with an injured rib leading into a really huge mega fight, a chance to make so much money, what would you do? Would you do the same thing as him and pull out, or would you try to fight with him?
I'd fight, but I'm crazy. Do you think I've never pulled out of a fight because I've never had an injury? Or you think I'm just the luckiest person ever? No, I'm nuts, and I won't tell you about it.
Randy, could you pause
Where's some
for
wood?
us up the ring?
What?
Could you pause it for us? Up the ring?
What?
What?
Just
After.
What?
Some pictures.
I want to take a picture?
Yes. For us, all the up the ring.
Yeah, as long as I can get up at 5, because I gotta train again.
So you were talking about, being Mama Bear. Obviously, you have the horsewomen. How tough for you is it, when Marina takes a tough loss? Shayna's not with the organization, but obviously doing some cool stuff now with her wrestling. But how hard is that for you to, try to keep their spirits up and keep your own up when that's happening?
Well, you always want to see your friends succeed, and it's always hard to see them fall on hard times. But I mean, I'm a better person and I'm at a better place in my life because of all the hardest times that have happened. And, they all have their own individual journey and path, and it's not going to be exactly like mine because it's meant to be for them. And so I could just try to be there for them and remind them that this is your situation, this isn't your life. And this is where you are, but it's not where you're going. And yeah, I mean, I really believe that they're going to look back years in the future and thank God that whatever obstacles they face on the way to where they end up, they're going to be thankful for all of them.
Rhonda, kind of an offbeat question, but you were born in Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you guys live there, and do you really remember much about that area?
I think we moved when I was like 3.
So you probably didn't remember.
I don't really remember much, but yeah, my mom got her PhD there. She was like professor at UC Riverside, and yeah, I don't really remember. I remember a dream that I had once that took place in Riverside.
Is it a good one?
You know what? It was the weirdest thing. It was like my mom gave me some Pepto-Bismol. I always thought it was delicious when I was a kid, and then I turned, and then I opened the garage door, and the garage was open, and someone had a lawnmower and put it up on the curb, and then cut my big toe off, and lettuce came out. The weirdest thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, and my earliest memory, this is the earliest memory I've ever had, and I believe it happened in Riverside, was we just had these huge apples, or maybe I was tiny, I don't know, but I went to the fridge and opened the fridge, and I pulled this apple out, and I turned around, and I did the granny roll, as you're bowling, and I rolled the apple down the hallway, and that's it.
You talked about the change you wanted to see. What does it mean to you to inspire a lot of young fighters, that are out there, that are just little girls to young amateurs? What does it mean to you?
I mean, I'm trying the best that I can, and if there can be some kind of a ripple effect from what I'm doing, I hope that anyone who is affected goes out and makes ripples of their own.
Ronda, there's a question earlier about how big your star has gotten. How do you describe what the Ronda brand is and what's next for you?
I don't know. I'm just trying to be myself, and I'm trying to not lose my sanity in the process of all of this. So, I guess the main thing I think blatant honesty is one of the main things in my brand, because if you bring me a product and I don't like it, I'm like, I don't like it. It's not happening. It's not going down. Sorry, which I think that means if I support something, it means something more. I'm not gonna go be in a Roundup commercial, but people know that if I'm like, hey, try this thing. It's got, it means I would actually eat that, or I would actually use that, or whatever, you know. And so, and if I say something, that's actually what I think. I don't have a PR person. I don't. I got all this other stuff going on. I don't have PR because, you know what? I'm going to say what I'm going to say. No one's going to tell me, oh my God, maybe you should say it like that. I'm like, why? No, that goes against everything. Like, I have to just say what comes to my mind. And, you know, you might not agree with it, but, you know, whatever.
When you go to Brazil?
Two more questions, Jane.
I don't know, because I don't want people to be, like, scouting me out. I'm going sometime soon, next couple days.
Ronda, obviously you're an extremely confident woman, and inspiring so many women to find that confidence. Is that something you always had when you were growing up, or is it something you slowly earned by practicing sports?
It's something I just slowly learned. Yeah, and sports had a lot to do with it. I mean, I had real serious issues with my self-image, and I didn't think much of myself for a very long time, and that's why when people say that I'm so cocky and arrogant, I'm just like, I worked for a very, very long time to be able to think well of myself. You know, for me to be able to look myself in the mirror in the morning and be like, you're awesome. That took a while. I didn't just start doing that, you know? But it's really fun. You should try it. Yeah. But for people to come along and say like, you know what? You need to think less of yourself. I'm like, who are you to tell me that I need to think less of myself? Why does that have anything to do with you? And why are you so offended by me being okay with who I am and actually liking it and having a high opinion of myself? I think that complimenting yourself is the most fun form of manifestation. I'll do it a lot. You know what? I might be sweaty, and I might have forgot that I was going to do a media today when I got in the car and been like, whatever, I'm not going to change. But you know what? I think I look awesome right now. You can disagree, whatever. Try and dress better.
Why don't we break for some pictures right now?